All right, welcome YouTubers. This is a recap of the 2016 MLB betting season. It's either a victory or a huge loss, both at the same time. So it's kind of a weird year. But here's how I did: 7 sessions. So if you follow a little baseball over here, that's where we started, and I had 20,000 bankroll like I do with most normal seasons. And I was looking for 70% on the season, so to grow my bankroll from 20,000 to 34,000. And baseball money line bets here. I'm not a big fan of the money line. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that. And also here, I'm playing both sides because you have a money line situation. You can play both sides and profit. But this year wasn't that great. But realize if you don't play both sides, you just play the winning side, then or you just play one of my sides, I usually do a little bit better, and that's what happened this year too. So let's get on it and recap it. So the dark blue line here is what my frozen. I'll try to make 10% in a session, and then I'll freeze it there. And the light blues are if we played every single game, including both sides. When two hot teams meet, which usually you just lose the vig, but there's steps in there with a money line. So what happened right away, the first time I was eligible to bet out here, is it rose up first day basically, and I was up over 23,000 or so. So I was up 17%, and I froze it because I made over my 10% for the session. The light blue kept on going up, and then it came back down, and it kept on going up. Well, it peaked at 32%, so you could have made up to 32%, and eventually ended at 30%. And I, of course, was capped at 17, so I wasn't playing any games. Each one of these vertical lines is a week, so there was a few weeks that went by there. Second session kicked out, and we went down immediately, almost not $3 grand or something first day, but we came back. And eventually I cut it off once I hit 39% profit, or made up to $28,000. That's where that horizontal line is here. If I kept playing, I kept going up, up, up. So if you played every game at this point, a couple weeks into that session, or a week and a half in that session, we were up at 90%. That ended up being the peak for the year, or $38,000 bankroll. And that came back down in a hurry, back to my level, and then it sprung back up. Well, we ended that session at 39% frozen, or 55% playing every game. So the next session came out. Again, we dipped for a day, a couple grand, and went back up and hit 65%. So well above this little staggered line, this red line that's been going up 10% is every session, and trying to go 10% every session. But what happened in the third session here is that everyday picks just took a huge landslide, went up a little and then up, and then ended up being actually below the 20,000 mark. But I had frozen at 65%. So yeah, it wasn't a good session overall. Sort of indicator my picks weren't going too well. Started the next session, popped up the first day. I was up over 70%. I froze. So the fourth session, I ended up out here at 70%. I was over my goal for the year. So you can claim victory there. I advised to push on, but probably wasn't a good thing. But this session started negative down here. If you were playing every game in that session and take my picks that way, and it went up a little. Went back down, back up, and eventually you got quite a bit. You almost got you got up to +7 from -7. So you could have made 14% on that session, but it ended up being net negative by the end of the day if you stuck all the way. And I thought that I wouldn't have. I had back-to-back losing sessions. Basically, I thought I wouldn't have a third one. Well, you can see this line right here where it's just dropping like a tornado. And I played every game for the rest of the year, but that was my advice, but I probably should have capped out here. I ended up actually capping out at the end of that session and just walking away with 19% profit, which isn't as good as the 70 I had, so that's why I kind of feel like a big loser. But if I had kept playing, you can see that just that huge streak where you just lost a ton of money. It's just a ridiculous on I know they're not 50-50 on the money line, but yeah, bad day. It did come back pretty good. but eventually it was net negative for that session. And then I had a huge negative session the next session, so I'm way down in the negative. Even if you took my advice, you're playing every day now. And this last session, we actually made some money up to 30%. You could have got out at. It did do a little bit positive there, like what's that, about 13% or something. But so it's a both win and loss. I don't feel too good about it, playing it all the way out. But the nice part is early on, there's 70% or 90% type gains you could get. I ended up getting, like I said, 20%. My numbers when they were at the 70, I know this is playing both sides. I was at 75 playing just the one side, so a little bit higher, and I ended up being, I think it was 24% or something, 23% that I ended up. So yeah, unfortunately it wasn't the greatest. I kind of hate baseball that way. I hate playing every day. But the good news is that football's back, and football's been my bread and butter for most years. So go ahead and pay attention on the rest, and I'll start getting those picks out. Appreciate it. See you.